Okay, hi everybody, it's me, Bunker 922. So we're almost finished with the winter. um, there are a few notable reviews that I have to do, anime series reviews to do, but we still got Marshall, and we still got Big Witch and the Beast. Now, this series is, it's kind of a weird scenario with this series. I think it was a good idea. Because of certain aspects, sure didn't really maybe take off that. They didn't really take off, But with this episode, we go in the past. Now, this is when Ashaf first met Guideu. 3 years ago, in a quiet village, there's a witch. And surprisingly enough, we find out that she can't speak. So she can't be the one that's doing what she's doing, which is basically some cow gets killed or something. We get introduced to Ashaf, organization, magical ordinance, and surprisingly enough, there's this witch. Her name eludes me. I forgot the name, but I think it was Elleaf or some name like that. Anyway, she can't speak, but things happen around her that are mysterious. Because she can't speak, she can't make spells. And basically, we have the beginning where Ashaf shows up. He eventually confronts these dudes hassling the girl who's a witch and the guy friend. And this other kid shows up. Ashaf does his thing. He forces these two bozos to take a walk. But obviously the people of this village are a little on edge about her, that she's a witch, and now Guideu shows up and tries to attack them, and this mysterious thing shows up out of nowhere and swats her. Later on, we find out what this is. Now, we get this interesting dialogue with Guideu, with Ashaf, because she's like asking the witch, do you recognize this mark? And she was surprised at it, so she knows what it is. And later on, Ashaf tells Guideu she probably has the same mark on her body. Mark of the origin witch. Now, surprisingly enough, cat's out of the bag. We know what's going on here. It's the executioners again. And this is one little tidbit about this show that I find very... I just shake my head. This is the second time we're seeing these dudes, and every time we see them, they get waxed. And I mean that more, I mean like just completely owned. And the guy that was trying to get the demon sword, his partner gets... So, it's like, what's the point? Now, the executioner here is this little kid that was with them. And he was the one creating that thing that showed up to frame her so they can kill her. Because there's another guy who's his partner who was with the villagers going to the house. So, this is leading up to something. So, that was pretty much the episode of the events that occurred. So really, this is how they met. This is basically the story of Ashaf and Guideu meeting. Now, surprisingly enough, Guideu does mention swapping bodies. So, based on this episode, we can gather what Angela, the origin witch, did to Guideu. She is not female, which I already kind of had a feeling about from last week's episode. Angela swapped her bodies. That guy that's coming out of the coffin, that's the real Guideu. At least from my understanding. And it's only by doing this ritual of everything between when the body gets really hurt badly, or she kisses a witch, that she's able to break it briefly and use this body. So that's what we got from that whole exchange. So next week's going to be conclusion of this. I'm guessing that guy, kid, yeah, he's not going to do well here. We also see some woman in the preview. I mean, the thing is, I like this show. Now, this episode was mostly set up. I'm not going to give this a high rating. It was okay. Probably like 8 out of 10. I mean, I like the show. I'm trying to like the show. But there's just, not much here. Because it's like, you spend most of the time in this season going over these other cases with, and by the way, it wasn't a lot. That's another thing that's kind of upsetting to an extent, is that Ashaf and Guideu only did like 3 out of the whole 12 episodes. They only did 3 cases. And then they had that one episode, one case on necromancy. So they did a whole spiel with that. And listen, I don't mind it, but it's understandable with this animation, with this animation company that did this anime, what's really going on here. They can't go further in. They can't go any deeper into the manga because, as I was alluded to from my anime list, the manga is sick and it's on hiatus. So that makes sense to why it is what it is. But still, it was a decent episode. Good setup. Surprise, surprise, it's Executioner again. Like, what are you going to do? Lame. That's the only fault I will say about this with this show. These executioners are so freaking lame. They're so lame. We've seen 4 of them, and 2 of them dead. They're just dead. Like, not really that impressive, are you? It's like, but logistically speaking, we only have one more episode of this show. As I stated before, which I don't know if I did, the spring anime is going to come up soon. As of right now, I have only 1 anime for episode reviews. Kaiju 8. My mood might change. I might try. As of right now, the only ones I can really consider would be Konosuba season 3, or another series that might be difficult for me to review, but I've been watching it, Irregular at Magic High School. We'll see. We'll see. This is Vodka 922. We now have the origin of Ashaf with Guideu swapping bodies. Seems to be the case. I'll see you guys later. Peace.